3 less commonly preached scriptures you need to know and why. There are scriptures in the Bible that everybody quotes. We know Jeremiah 29:11, Psalm 23, and John 3, verse 16. But there are other verses, quiet ones, rarely preached, rarely put on t-shirts. One rarely discussed scripture is 2 Kings 3, verse 15. But now bring me a minstrel. And it came to pass, when the minstrel played, that the hand of the Lord came upon him. This is not a random detail. It reveals atmosphere as a gateway. The prophet Elisha could not release the prophetic word until sound shifted the environment. That means revelation is sometimes blocked by atmosphere, not absence of calling. Worship is not emotional filler, it is spiritual alignment. Sound reorganizes the unseen realm. Many believers pray for clarity but ignore atmosphere. You cannot live in chaos and expect clear revelation. Notice that Elisha did not try harder. He changed the sound. Music is spiritual technology. It invites, shifts, and prepares space. That is why heaven is described with worship, and why darkness also uses sound strategically. If you understand this verse, you stop underestimating what you listen to. You guard your ears, because you realize sound is either inviting God's hand or something else. The second powerful, but rarely emphasized scripture is Ecclesiastes 10, verse 8. Whoever breaks a hedge, a serpent will bite. That sounds simple, but it is deeply spiritual. A hedge represents divine protection, spiritual boundaries, obedience, and covering. When those boundaries are broken, access is granted. The serpent does not need permission from God to bite if the hedge has been dismantled through compromise. This verse teaches us that spiritual attacks are often linked to breached boundaries. We love to rebuke the serpent, but rarely examine the hedge. Sometimes what we call warfare is really exposure. You see, disobedience, pride, unforgiveness are all hedge breakers. This scripture is not about fear, it is about awareness. It tells us that protection is maintained through alignment. The spiritual realm runs on order, not emotion. When the hedge is intact, the serpent stays out. The third scripture is Ecclesiastes 10:20. Do not curse the king, even in your thoughts, for a bird of the air may carry your voice. Before social media, before screenshots, before digital trails, the Bible was telling us that words travel fast, physically and spiritually. You've got a secret? Keep it to yourself or get professional help. Understand that thoughts matter and speech has wings. You see, the spirit realm carries agreement faster than we realize, and what you whisper in secret can activate spiritual or physical consequences. This verse reveals the principle of transmission. Words are not just sounds, they are seeds. The spiritual realm responds to confession, agreement, and declaration. That is why Scripture says life and death are in the power of the tongue. When you speak negativity over yourself repeatedly, you are not venting, you are legislating. When you constantly criticize authority, you may be opening physical or spiritual doors. The bird of the air is a metaphor for unseen transmission. Nothing spoken is truly isolated. So why should we know these verses? Because they move us from passive Christianity to strategic Christianity. Hosea teaches us that ignorance is vulnerability. Ecclesiastes 10:8 teaches us that boundaries matter more than intensity. Ecclesiastes 10:20 teaches us that speech is spiritual currency. These are not motivational verses. They are operational ones. They explain why some believers pray hard but see little change. Because knowledge, obedience, and confession are misaligned. Most Christians focus on inspiration, but the kingdom operates on laws. Gravity works whether you understand it or not. Spiritual laws work the same way. You cannot override principle with passion. When we ignore knowledge, we risk destruction. When we break hedges, we invite bites. When we speak carelessly, we release agreements. But when we align with these truths, we step into authority. The enemy does not fear emotional believers. He fears informed believers. He fears Christians who understand covenant. He fears believers who guard their hedge. He fears disciplined mouths. When you understand these hidden verses, your life becomes less reactive and more intentional. You stop blaming God for breaches you created. You stop fighting serpents you authorized. You stop speaking curses you later pray against. These scriptures are secrets not because they are hidden, but because they are neglected. They are not shouted from pulpits because they require responsibility. It is easier to preach blessing than to preach boundaries. It is easier to preach favor than to preach knowledge. But maturity demands understanding. Power without understanding is unstable. If you truly grasp these 3 verses, your walk will change. You will pursue knowledge intentionally. You will guard your spiritual hedge fiercely. You will weigh your words carefully. You will recognize that the kingdom is structured, not chaotic. And instead of living surprised by spiritual outcomes, you will live aware of spiritual principles. The Bible is not just a comfort book. It is a strategic manual. And sometimes the least quoted scriptures hold the deepest keys. Study them, meditate on them, ask God for revelation concerning them, because when knowledge increases, destruction decreases. When hedges are restored, serpents retreat, and when speech aligns with heaven, power flows. So, until next time, thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. God bless you.